Hello there. Good evening. Let's talk about something we all cherish, shall we? Trust. It's the foundation of any healthy relationship, whether it's with your partner, your dog, or that slightly shifty-looking man who runs the government. But what happens when that trust begins to fray? When you get that nagging feeling that the people in charge, the ones making decisions that affect every single aspect of your life, might not be giving you the straight story. How can you tell if your government is being less than honest? It's a tricky business because they have impressive buildings, very serious-looking flags, and an army of people in suits who are experts at sounding reassuringly boring. It's not always a single, dramatic, I did not have political relations with that policy moment. More often, it's a slow drip of inconsistencies, a pattern of behavior that just doesn't add up. It's the political equivalent of your roommate insisting they didn't eat your leftover pizza while they have a suspicious amount of marinara sauce on their collar. You start to wonder, to question, to connect the dots. And that, right there, is the most patriotic thing you can do. Questioning power is not cynicism. It's citizenship in its purest, most undiluted form. So, for your civic consideration, we've compiled a handy little checklist, a sort of field guide to governmental gaslighting, if you will. Think of it as a public service helping you discern the truth from the creatively worded alternative facts. Are you ready to put your government to the test? Good, because here are the top 10 signs your government might be lying to you. And trust me, some of these might feel alarmingly familiar. Let's dive in, shall we? First up, we have a classic, the absolute cornerstone of governmental deceit, a stunning lack of transparency. This is when asking a simple question like, "Hey, where did all that taxpayer money for the new bridge go?" is met with a response as clear and helpful as a heavily redacted document. It's the art of saying absolutely nothing, but with a lot of very important sounding words. They'll form committees to look into it, promise reports that will be released in due course, a phrase which means sometime between next Tuesday and the heat death of the universe, or simply refuse to answer questions altogether, treating basic inquiries as if you've just asked for the nuclear launch codes. This isn't just about being cagey. It's a fundamental breakdown of the deal we make with our leaders. We give them power, and in return, they're supposed to be accountable for how they use it. When they start treating public information like it's their private diary, hiding spending details, or holding press conferences where they only take questions from a ficus plant in the corner, that's a massive red flag. It suggests they either think you're too stupid to understand the truth, or they know for a fact that if you did understand it, you'd be absolutely furious. And frankly, I'm not sure which is more insulting. Coming in at number 2 is a sign that should set your internal alarms, screaming contradictory statements. This is when the official story changes more often than a nervous teenager's profile picture. On Monday, the official line is, "We absolutely did not do the thing." By Wednesday, it's, "We did the thing, but it was for a very good reason that we can't tell you." And by Friday, it's, "What thing? There never was a thing. You must be mistaken." Also, look over there, a celebrity wore a funny hat. It's a dizzying dance of denial, recontextualization, and outright reversal that leaves the public utterly confused. This tactic works because it's exhausting. Keeping up with which version of the truth is currently in vogue is a full-time job, and most of us already have one of those. The goal is to muddy the waters so completely that people just give up trying to find the bottom. When a government can't keep its own story straight from one day to the next, it's not because of a simple communication error. It's often a sign that the lie is collapsing under its own weight, and they're frantically patching the holes as they appear. It's less like governing and more like a terrible improv show where none of the actors agreed on the premise. Number 3. Suppression of the press. This is as subtle as a foghorn in a library and a tale as old as power itself. When a government starts getting uncomfortable with the questions being asked, it often decides the problem isn't the answers, but the people asking. This can range from the polite but firm no comment to revoking press credentials, publicly denigrating journalists as enemies of the people, or, in more extreme cases, using state power to intimidate, censor, or shut down news organizations entirely. They want to be the sole narrator of the nation's story. Think of a free press as the country's smoke detector. It's supposed to make a loud, annoying noise when it senses something is burning. A government that tries to silence the press is like someone who, upon hearing that alarm, chooses to smash the detector with a hammer instead of checking for a fire. It's a desperate act by people who know something is burning, perhaps their own credibility, and they would very much prefer you not notice the smoke. Any attempt to control the flow of information and discredit those who work to uncover the truth is a clear sign that there is something they are desperate to hide. At number 4, we have the manipulation of data. This is for the more sophisticated liar, the kind who knows that a bald-faced fib can be easily disproven, but a misleading chart? That's art. This is when governments present statistics that are technically true but contextually deceptive. They'll cherry-pick data points that make them look good, change the scale on a graph to make a tiny improvement look like a monumental achievement, or use confusing jargon and complex models to obscure a grim reality. Unemployment is down because we stopped counting the millions who gave up looking for work. This is particularly insidious because it preys on our trust in numbers. We see a chart, we see a statistic, and we assume it's objective fact. But data can be tortured to confess to anything. They might report a record-breaking increase in school funding that, when you adjust for inflation and student population growth, is actually a cut. Or they'll boast about falling crime rates by simply not recording certain types of crime. It's a magic trick. They want you to look at the impressive-looking number they're holding up, not at the mountain of inconvenient facts they've hidden under the table. Our 5th sign is a political classic: scapegoating. When things go wrong, the economy tanks, a disaster is handled poorly, a policy fails spectacularly, the easiest thing to do is find someone else to blame. It's the "a dog ate my homework" defense on a geopolitical scale. This can be another country, a political opposition party, immigrants, a specific minority group, or even the famously vague and menacing external forces. The goal is to create a boogeyman, a convenient villain onto whom all public anger and frustration can be projected. This is more than just avoiding blame. It's a powerful tool of distraction. While everyone is busy being angry at the designated scapegoat, no one is looking at the government's own incompetence or corruption that may have caused the problem in the first place. It's a cheap and cynical trick that exploits fear and prejudice to maintain power. If you ever notice your leaders spending more time pointing fingers at a supposed enemy than they do explaining their own actions and offering concrete solutions, it's a very good sign they are trying to divert your attention from something they desperately don't want you to see. Let's talk about number 6, the 2 most powerful words in the vocabulary of government secrecy: national security. This is the ultimate trump card, the magic phrase that can be invoked to shut down almost any line of questioning. Why are you conducting mass surveillance on your own citizens? National security. Why did you spend $1 billion on a fleet of invisible paperclip dispensers? National security. Why is the Prime Minister's cat listed as a classified asset? You guessed it. That is a matter of national security. It's a conversation ender. Now, to be clear, there are legitimate national security concerns. Of course there are. No one is asking for the blueprints to a top-secret spy satellite to be posted on TikTok. But the term is so broad and so powerful that it is laughably easy to abuse. It becomes a giant opaque cloak used to hide embarrassment, illegality, or simple incompetence. When a government reflexively stamps classified on everything from budget overruns to cafeteria menus and uses national security as the default answer to any inconvenient question, it's not protecting the nation. It's protecting itself from scrutiny. Moving on to number 7, and this one's a particularly nasty one: discrediting whistleblowers. Whistleblowers are people on the inside who have the courage to expose waste, fraud, abuse, or illegal activities they've witnessed. In a functioning, honest system, these individuals would be protected, even celebrated for their integrity. But in a system with something to hide, the reaction is, well, very, very different. Instead of addressing the information the whistleblower has revealed, the government and its allies will launch a full-scale attack on the whistleblower themselves. Suddenly, the focus shifts entirely. The conversation is no longer about the potential wrongdoing that was exposed. It's about the whistleblower's motives, their character, their personal life, their past mistakes. They are painted as disgruntled employees, traitors, fame seekers, or even mentally unstable. It's a classic ad hominem attack designed to destroy the messenger's credibility so that no one will listen to the message. If you see a government spending all its energy trying to ruin the reputation of a person who revealed an uncomfortable truth, That is a deafeningly loud signal that the truth they revealed is very, very real. At number 8, we find the sudden policy reversal without a shred of logical explanation. This is when a government spends months, even years, passionately arguing that a particular course of action is absolutely essential for the nation's survival, only to abruptly U-turn and do the exact opposite. One day, a trade deal is the cornerstone of our future prosperity. The next, it's being ripped up with no clear reason given. A major infrastructure project is vital for the next generation, and then it's suddenly canceled, with officials mumbling something about reevaluating priorities. While governments should be able to change their minds based on new evidence, unexplained reversals are deeply suspicious. They often suggest that the original policy was based on a lie, or that the reversal is being driven by hidden motives, like pressure from powerful lobbyists, a secret deal, or the sudden realization that their previous plan was an epic, unmitigated disaster they can no longer conceal. When the people in charge can't or won't provide a coherent reason for a dramatic change in direction, it's a good bet that the real reason is one they don't want you to know about. It's like the driver of your bus suddenly swerving onto a different highway and just smiling blankly when you ask why. Number 9 is a pervasive and deeply frustrating sign: a complete lack of accountability. This is the culture where, no matter how badly things go, no one is ever truly responsible. A billion-dollar program fails to achieve any of its goals. Mistakes were made. A catastrophic intelligence failure leads to disaster. We are launching an internal review. A minister is caught in a blatant lie. They are considering their position before being quietly moved to a different, equally important job a few months later. It's a world of passive voice apologies and consequence-free failure. Accountability is the immune system of a democracy. It's how we identify problems and remove the people or policies that cause them. When that system breaks down, it creates a culture of impunity. Officials learn that they can mislead, mismanage, and fail without any real fear of losing their job or facing serious repercussions. This lack of consequences is not an accident, it's a feature. It allows the powerful to protect one another and ensures that the truth of their failures is never fully brought to light. It's a system designed not to serve the public, but to protect the powerful from the public. And finally, we arrive at number 10, excessive secrecy. This is the big brother of our old friend national security. It's when the government's default setting for any piece of information is secret. Reports on environmental quality? Classified. The catering budget for a government retreat? Top secret? The official minutes of a meeting about what to name the new post office? So secret you don't even have the clearance to know it exists. It's a reflexive, almost pathological need to operate in the shadows. This creates a government that is fundamentally unknowable to the people it's meant to serve. When everything is secret, nothing can be debated. When every document is hidden, no one can check the work. It fosters an environment where corruption and incompetence can flourish, safe from the disinfecting light of public scrutiny. A certain level of secrecy is necessary, yes, but when it becomes the rule rather than the exception, it's a massive red flag. It's a government that fundamentally does not trust its own people with the truth, which is a pretty good reason for the people to not trust that government. So there you have it. 10 signs, 10 giant, flashing, neon red flags to watch out for. From the black hole of transparency to the addiction to secrecy, these are the tools of a government that has something to hide. Now, seeing one of these signs might just be a mistake, a one-off error in judgment. But if you start ticking off boxes on this list, if you notice several of these signs becoming a pattern of behavior, it might be time to start asking more questions. It might be time to get a little louder, a little more demanding, and a lot more skeptical. This isn't about being cynical or embracing conspiracy theories. It's about being an engaged citizen. The truth is rarely handed to you on a silver platter. More often, it's hidden under a mountain of paperwork, obscured by misleading jargon, and protected by people who would rather you just didn't ask. Finding it requires effort. It requires a healthy dose of skepticism and a refusal to be distracted by scapegoats or silenced by intimidation. A government that is afraid of its own people asking questions is a government that should be afraid. So don't just take their word for it. Read from diverse sources, support independent journalism, and talk to your neighbors. Stay informed, stay skeptical, and demand transparency. Because at the end of the day, they work for you. And it is not only your right, but your responsibility to make sure they're doing an honest job. Thank you for watching. Good night.